Hey there, blessings and welcome. Let me just fix my mic a little bit here. Blessings and welcome. This is Dawn DelVecchio with Return of the Priestess and Priestess School, and thank you for being here for this video. This is the first in a series of Q&As that I'm going to be providing, so I wanted to start first with a thank you to all of the people who sent in your questions. It's an honor to be able to answer them. The second thing I wanted to share is just simply that I invite you to receive any of these answers, not as some kind of doctrine, but just as something, as the answers coming from a messenger dedicated to bringing forth love and light and upliftment to the planet and to humanity. Take what works for you, leave the rest. There are many teachers, guides, channelers, activators on the earth at this time. And that's as it should be, because many, many people are waking up. We are at a powerful transformational time on the planet. And we are all undergoing a process of spiritual evolution. And right now, as I record this anyway, it's a very bumpy part of the ride. It's a really, we're at the perhaps the crux of the real challenging part of the transformation. So I offer these answers from a place of respect for your deepest, wisest knowing when you connect with your own guidance. I don't offer them as dogma or dictates or any of that other stuff. And I offer them from the place of my own journey, my own knowings, my own guidance, my own incarnational remembrances, and studies as well, and life experiences. So again, take what works for you, leave the rest, and know that these are extended to you as a share grounded in love. Okay, so with that, let's begin. I had many questions come in, so we'll just take a few today. We'll just do a series of these. One thing I did notice is there were many common threads of questions, so I may not answer all of your questions, but I will do my utmost to answer all of the related themes, so to cover the issue, the real issue behind the question. Okay, so okay. So the first question is about why a priestess lineage when I have been called my whole life to serve, and now so many years later I'm hearing priestess. So let me. I think the questioner is asking something about is it important to have a lineage as a priestess, and I would say, really, no. What's important is that you answer the call of your soul. And if you've been called to serve your whole life, then serve in the way that aligns for you. Now, that leads to touching on the priestess, and this is an important thing, I think, because the concept of priestess has come into the consciousness of the awakening spiritual community, especially the feminine awakening spiritual community. Why? Why would that be? Well, we are at a time on the planet right now where, after thousands of years of imbalance between the masculine energies and the feminine energies, the divine masculine and the divine feminine have been so out of whack, and the feminine has been so denigrated that we cannot go further. We must reconnect the feminine frequency in order to create in alignment with love and balance. And many women, more and more, are feeling called to the path of the priestess because we remember other incarnations where we served the divine in the guise of a priestess, as one who served in the temple or in other ways, incarnated in a feminine body, a female body, in service to the divine. So I have a thing on my website, and it made its rounds some places on the web about what a priestess is. And most priestesses, what a priestess is, and most priestesses have some kind of statement, those who are actually in leadership roles, of what they, how they see their role as a priestess. So I don't have that short essay that I wrote in front of me, but I'll just summarize it in this way. A priestess is a woman who feels called to a leadership path and to serve her community in some capacity. That may be through a business or vocation. It may be through an avocation. It may be through a healing skill. It may be through some other way, through being a mother or a community leader or whatever. But it is a leadership role, and it's leading our own lives too, from a very deep connection with the divine. We often are deeply connected with the goddess and the divine in its aspect, in its feminine guise, in its feminine face, we could say. And many of us serve as priestesses, leaders, or teachers of others. So, for example, myself, I do mentor other women in some of the practices that would fall under the heading of a priestess or a sacred feminine leader. And if you want to find out more about that, you can check out my website or check out our Facebook group, Return of the Priestess. You have to request entry and answer the questions, but this is one place where you can get more information. And again, there are many of us on the planet right now. The Return of the Priestess series that was done in early 2020 is a wonderful way to meet 30 different priestesses, to find out about their lineages, their practices, and the sacred missions that they are bringing forward as spiritually connected feminine leaders. So, sister, I hope that answers your question. But the other layer actually is the lineage. Now, there are a few unbroken lineages from ancient times. Most, however, were broken during the years of intense, aggressive attack against the feminine in the Western world. So my physical lineage tradition as a Western European roots in this biology, in this particular body that I'm walking in now. Most of those lineages were wiped out during the era known as the Inquisition or the witch burnings. There are some traditions that are unbroken. Do we need a lineage per se? No. Many women are rebirthing lineages. They're being downloaded by the goddess, downloaded by certain lineages. Like I work a lot with Isis, as many of us do, because Isis, the goddess Isis, that archetypal energy who was once a priestess on this earth long, long ago, is sort of the overseeing energetic of calling the priestesses to awaken and return to the temple being the inner temple. And some of us may have an outer temple too. So there's not a need to claim a lineage per se, unless you feel aligned with a lineage which you would like to study under. For example, I have brought forward a lineage called Mother Spirit. And Mother Spirit is a lineage that is a rebirthed lineage that was formed by myself and 5 other sisters beginning in 1984, probably more birthed in 1985 and 1986. And we all had a connection, and we all were gathering together in sacred space on a regular basis. And we brought together the best of our knowledge, our education, our wisdom, and the guidance, the divine downloads coming through, to form what we called Mother Spirit. And that I was then given permission some 35 years later to be the bearer of that lineage. So we have all received downloads and guidance from the goddess, from our higher guides. And then I stepped forward over the course of many years through my own learnings, teachings, channelings, downloads, transmissions, to birth a body of work, a body of training that facilitates women's deep inner work, inner journey in 13 different arenas in order to prepare the inner temple and the vessel to step and walk in the world as a sacred feminine leader in that lineage of Mother Spirit. But I am not the only lineage bearer by any means. And again, I refer you to Return of the Priestess, the series, and you could go to returnofthepriestess.com to find that. If you're curious about that and you would like to discover and meet and learn from 30 priestesses from 6 different continents and many different lineages. So that's what I have to share about the priestess. So let's go on to the next question. What would you say to achieve balance, regular practices to embrace this new way of living? Okay, so this is great. And this really touches on a number of different iterations of how do I, in non-spiritual parlance, this is how do I create work-life balance, right? But for us, for those of us who are called to a spiritual path, especially those of us who want to step into leadership roles very aligned with our spiritual commitment, our spiritual truth, our spiritual calling. In order to find that balance, it's really an inside job primarily. We have to have the willingness to cultivate the tools, to gain the tools necessary to overcome the ego mind's resistance to change and resistance to putting it on the back burner. So for myself, as what you could say, a professional priestess in the sense, like I actually serve as a priestess in a way that it's my main vocation as well as my sacred daily practice. I have a very lengthy daily practice. It includes approximately 2-hour morning sadhana is a word that it's called, but it's like there's yoga, there's meditation, there's prayer, there's chakra clearing, there's blessings for others, there's journaling, there's sacred readings, that kind of thing. And then I have an evening practice, and I have disciplines throughout the day and sometimes throughout the night when I wake up to keep myself on track. Now, I'm not saying I've mastered this, but this is how I create balance. And what that does for me personally is it helps me stay more even keel most of the time when challenges come my way. But everyone is different. Your life path, your soul's intent, your gifts, your skills and abilities are unique to you. So how you find that balance, first of all, is by making the choice to do so. And secondly, by having enough self-awareness to look at and find out when you're self-sabotaging yourself. When you know, for example, that if I meditate every day, I handle my workload better, or I'm a better mom or better dad or whatever. And then say, but I don't meditate every day. So what is that about? And then making the commitment to do so, and perhaps arranging your schedule, like doing the practical things necessary to be sure that you have that. And then gaining the training you need, gaining the support. So there's 2 things really, training and support. Training is when you work with a mentor or guide. And again, I am but one of many. And I work with women with whom I am a fit. I don't try to, get every single client I possibly can. There are those I am here to serve. We have a soul contract at a different level. When we meet, we know it, and I work with them for a time and they move on. Maybe I might be that for you, maybe not. Or maybe for a time, and then you move on to someone else. You want to get training, though. You want to get training and mentorship if this path is new to you. Now, that being said, in addition to that, you also want supportive community. It's very challenging to walk a spiritual path, a path of ascension into the 5th dimensional consciousness, into multidimensional awareness, into honoring the soul of, and the divine above the 3D demands. And it's very difficult to do that when you are living, immersed, and surrounded by those who don't value that. It's really like anything, right? It's hard to have an interest in anything and then hang out with people who have no interest in that. That's, we look for community. We're communal beings. We naturally want to gravitate toward those we resonate with, or toward those who share our values. So having community to share with, to commune over these reflections and ideas, to gain support, to lift as we rise. Very important. It helps us stay in our balance, and to stay in our commitment to our own spiritual path. So I hope that's helpful to you. Let's go on to another one. Let's see here. Okay, so the next question is, how do I garner willpower to do the things I need to do, but cannot find the power within to get on with it? Okay, so let me tune in for a moment here, because I feel like I really want to do this question justice and honor it from the spirit from which it's coming. So I want to open up this a little bit more. Willpower alone used to be enough. It used to be enough. That was part of the old paradigm that really was using only the masculine energies within us. I don't just mean men or male, but that we all have inner feminine and masculine. And because the feminine aspects have been so denigrated, the aspects of receptivity, creativity, connectivity, intuition, inner guidance, feeling our way through something, because they were so denigrated for so long, we had to rely on those more masculine energies. I'm just going to get her done. I'm just going to drive through this. I'm going to use my willpower to power through. That's what we did to be disciplined, to get stuff done, to take action, to execute on plans, all of that stuff. And because we are at a time now where we are rebalancing those energies, and I would say especially for anyone who's tapping into their divine feminine energies, women or men, it's like our soul is just saying, nope, we ain't going to do that anymore. So what I would say first to answer that question in a really honest and loving way is how you garner the power to do things you need to do is to surrender. And that sounds so counterintuitive, doesn't it? But the surrendering, the need to power your way through something, to have the power to do it, and to deeply listen within is the first step. Now, that doesn't mean you don't take action. What it means is that you stop putting the cart before the horse. The cart before the horse is I'm going to power my way through what I think I need to do, instead of I'm going to sit, receive, do self-care, nurture, and receive the guidance. Because here's how it works. When you really line up with what it is you're wanting to do at a soul level, you will be inspired to do so once you get that reconnection. Now, I get that there are things we all have to do. So if you are working right now at a soul-sucking job, and you got to get up and do it, or you've got, whatever it is, whatever your responsibilities are in your personal life that feel uncreative or uninspiring or even draining, but they need to be done. This is, again, where spiritual practice comes in, and we're seeing, chop wood, haul water, chop wood, haul water. Those very basic tasks can be infused with present moment awareness and with a peaceful heart. Because we all have those things to do. We all have to put, one leg at a time in our pants. We all have to go to the bathroom and brush our teeth and prepare a meal and all of that stuff. So if that is the stuff that you're having trouble powering through, then having a consistent connection with your divine guidance, with God, Goddess, I Am, with your spiritual master teachers, spiritual practice is going to help. It's going to help because that energy infuses into your being over time. So how do you garner the power to do things you need but cannot find the power within to get on with it? It's going within so that you're sure that whatever it is that you're doing beyond those, basics to keep yourself alive and, take good care of yourself, like getting out for a walk every day, for example, to be sure that your spirit is inspired. Inspiration, breathing in the spirit. Because when you are with spirit, you can do anything. But that takes some time. We have not been trained to value our connection with spirit. In fact, many of us were conditioned to think we need a intermediary, third party priest, minister, whatever, to connect us to the divine. And that if we have a direct connection, we might be, actually talking to, evil spirits or something like that. I mean, there's a lot of conditioning over generations to keep us disconnected from spirit. And so we have to be patient and loving and compassionate with ourselves as we reconnect those energies and allow ourselves to surrender the forced march of living and to receive the divine guidance of our higher self, our soul, so that we are inspired enough to move forward with more grace. And that's when the magic and the miracles happen. That's when divine intervention comes and offers us opportunities that we could not have imagined otherwise, that make things flow with more grace and ease. So I hope that's helpful for you. Well, let's take one more for today. How do I keep focus away from self-criticism? Okay, great one. This is there's two and maybe three. There's three parts to this. That's what's coming in for me. The first, of course, is the self-awareness, and the very that you're being self-critical, and the very fact that you've asked this question, you obviously recognize that you are self-critical, and there are times throughout each of our days when we are thinking thoughts that we don't even know we're thinking. So if there are times when you recognize your self-criticism, I suspect there are probably times where you're doing those unconscious things throughout the day. You're driving your car, you're washing the dishes, you're cleaning, changing the baby's diaper, you're whatever it is you're up to, when you're actually also having self-critical thoughts. So shedding light on that as much as possible is good, because then you go to step 2, which is redirect. You literally have to consciously, and sometimes over and over and over again for days, weeks, months, or even years, redirect what you're thinking. It's a discipline at first. It may even seem contrived. It may feel fake, but it's important that you stop giving food or fodder to those negative thoughts. So if you're, for example, for me, I used to do a lot of critical self-talk when I wash the dishes. I could, my mind would go, not just self-talk, but like it go off uncontrolled thinking of random or negative thoughts. I would literally have to go, oh, there I am thinking a negative thought. Let me look for something positive. Oh, the sun is shining. Oh, I'm thankful for hot water. Oh, I'm going to have a beautiful day, even if I didn't necessarily believe it. So it was like a discipline. So that's part 2. And then part 3 is really to have patience and compassion with yourself, which is challenging when you've been self-critical, but that's key, because I want to reintroduce again, I mentioned it earlier, that we have been conditioned over the course of our lifetimes through TV, media, school, teachers, parents, religion, to denigrate our value as divine creator beings and beloved children of the one Mother, Father, God. We have been told we're sinners. We have been told we make mistakes. We're told we're whatever, fill in the blank. You have your unique life experience. For me, it was about being stupid. It was whatever it is. And we've all made a lot of mistakes because we have been living in a 3D consciousness seeped in beliefs in fear, separation, and attack. And that's been going on for generations. And many of us come from family lineages where there's plenty of trauma through interfamily trauma and abuse, or through war, or other sorts of bigger in terms of its impact globally, trauma. So we have to be kind and patient with ourselves. We have to have compassion and recognize, wow, I have a lot of self-criticism. This is conditioned into me. I was conditioned over this for a long period of time, repetition every day, watching commercials of skinny women and thinking I'm fat. I don't know one single woman, unless she's actually super, super skinny, and even some of them, who doesn't have a problem with her body image, except for those who have really worked on ourselves for a long time. And even then, a lot of times we can catch ourselves going down that silly rabbit hole of not being enough. So we have to be compassionate with ourselves. We have been conditioned repetitively over time to be critical of ourselves, to have not enoughitis, to compare ourselves with others, and to see them as better than us. And so we have to catch ourselves in those thoughts, redirect them, and then have loving compassion and kindness for ourselves as we retrain our minds to reunite with a loving consciousness. Okay, so I didn't get very far. I've got pages of these, but I really, I don't want it to be so much information that we lose track of the early questions. So I want to thank again those of you who have offered the questions. I want to offer each of you much love and bright blessings in these times. We are in times of great change. They are challenging. Some of our greatest fears or deepest secrets may be stirred to the surface for addressing. This has to do with the amount of light that's pouring onto the planet, energetic light from the central sun and the part of the galaxy we are in. And so we just have to double down on our compassion for ourselves. All that is not of that high frequency love vibration is coming to the surface to be healed and clarified, forgiven and released. And so in your journey, whatever your unique path journey is, your unique life journey, be kind to yourself, be loving to yourself, and look for the mentors, teachers, and first of all, your own divine connection. That's first. Then mentors, teachers, and community that can support you on your spiritual path. Thank you again so very much. Many blessings, and I will see you again on the next Q&A. Bye for now.